Art is anything you can get away with, and he certainly got away with a lot. Andy Warhol was one of the most important and controversial artists of the 20th century. He is the key to not just understanding modern art, but how we see value, celebrity, and reality today. Make sure you stay until the end where I explain what the Warhol loop is, a concept that you've probably never heard of, but you apply in your life every single day. So, is art really anything you can get away with? That quote, often attributed to Warhol, is one of the most repeated and misunderstood statements in contemporary art. It sounds like a joke or a provocation, but what if it's kind of a confession? In traditional Western art history, value was tied to skill, to originality, to expression. A painting by Caravaggio or Rembrandt was valuable because it showed incredible technical skill, and because it was one of a kind. Warhol challenged all of that. His work was not about skill in the conventional sense, and it wasn't about originality either. In fact, it often celebrated repetition, mass production, flatness. He didn't pretend to be a painter in the old sense. He embraced mechanical processes, photography, silkscreen printing, and turned the human touch into a brand logo. So the question becomes, if the art is not rare, if it's not technically hard to make, then why is it valuable? You should also watch this video, which will help you understand a little bit more about what makes art valuable. Andy Warhol was born as Andrew Warhola in 1928 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to Slovakian immigrant parents. As a child, he suffered from Sydenham's chorea, a neurological disorder that often left him bedridden for weeks. During these long periods of isolation, Warhol became obsessed with popular culture. Movie stars, comic books, advertising. He drew constantly, tracing celebrity images and ads. These early experiences shaped both his visual style and his fascination with fame, repetition, and media. After graduating from Carnegie Institute of Technology, Warhol moved to New York City in 1949 and quickly found work as a commercial illustrator. He worked for magazines like Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Glamour, known for a unique blotted line technique and whimsical style. But commercial success wasn't enough. Warhol wanted to be part of the fine arts world, and instead of rejecting commercialism, he leaned into it. His breakthrough came in 1962 with the Campbell soup cans, 32 canvases, each representing a different soup flavor.
What was the interest to you then in that Campbell soup tin? What gave you the idea of doing that?
Oh, I used to eat it every day. I still do, so. I know, and Mr. Billy Boy, I think, has some too. Are you American, Mr. Billy Boy?
No, from Mars, I think.
Critics thought this was a joke, but Warhol was not being ironic. He was asking a serious question. What makes this different from a still life of a fruit or a portrait of a king? Arthur Danto, philosopher and art critic, later wrote, Warhol made it possible to think about the philosophy of art through art itself. He called the soup cans a turning point, not because of how they looked, but because of what they meant. Warhol's background in commercial art taught him something that most artists at the time didn't really understand. In a mass media world, the image itself is a product. And if that's true, then why can't the product be the image? He didn't become an artist by rejecting capitalism. Instead, he became an artist by reflecting it, stylized, serialized, and for sale. But Warhol didn't just make art. He made an entire ecosystem. His studio, called The Factory, was a deliberate reference to industrial production. He even called his assistants art workers. The point wasn't that he made art by hand. The point was that he didn't have to. And this wasn't laziness, it was theory. Warhol was deeply influenced by Walter Benjamin, who wrote The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction. Benjamin argued that when art becomes mass reproducible, its aura, its uniqueness, its spiritual presence fades. What replaces it is a different kind of power, political, performative, and commodified. That which withers in the age of mechanical reproduction is the aura of the work of art. Warhol didn't just read this, he lived it. He turned the theory into a business model. For example, Benjamin talks about how reproducible media changes the way we perceive reality. The photograph or film becomes more real than the subject itself. Warhol's obsession with celebrities, Marilyn, Jackie O, Liz Taylor, isn't about them as people. It's about their images. He turns these public personas into icons, literally like religious icons, flattened, repeated, and mass circulated, so that the person disappears behind the image. Benjamin foresaw a shift. In a mass media age, art's value might move away from technical mastery and towards idea and impact. Warhol is not celebrated for painting skill. He's celebrated because he made us question what art is. He took Benjamin's theory and he made it pop culture. He turned celebrity into religion and then icon into commodity. Hal Foster, a leading art historian, said, Warhol anticipated the coming fusion of celebrity culture, capitalism, and spectacle. He made art from the image economy before we even had a name for it. In the age of mass media, Warhol understood what's real doesn't really matter. Because if everyone can have the same image, what makes it valuable? So, why call him an art criminal? He didn't forge, he didn't steal, he didn't deceive, or at least not in any illegal way. But he did manipulate the mechanisms of value. He flooded the market with multiples. He signed pieces that others made. He even reused the same images in endless variations. And the art world, it bought it. Literally and metaphorically. Robert Hughes said, Warhol was less a great artist than a great editor, a designer of surfaces, not a maker of depth. In a sense, he turned the entire market into a kind of performance art, one where the real subject was not the image on the canvas. It was the transaction itself. And critics at the time were divided. Was he undermining the system or was he just making it more obvious? Decades later, Warhol's work is still everywhere. In galleries, on tote bags, on Instagram. He's a symbol of modern art and a certain kind of commercial cynicism. But that cynicism is also strangely honest. Being good in a business is the most fascinating kind of art. Warhol never pretended to be above the market. He leaned into it. And in doing so, he made art that reflected the world around it. Its obsessions, its contradictions, its endless hunger for image and repetition. So, was Andy Warhol really the greatest art criminal in history? Not because he broke into a museum, not because he forged a painting or ran off with a masterpiece, but because he exposed the art world's greatest vulnerability. Its willingness to trade meaning for money, originality for repetition, and depth for spectacle. He didn't steal art. He made art that stole from us, and even our sense of what art is supposed to be. Warhol didn't hide from commodification, he weaponized it. He made art about its own reproduction, about its own emptiness. And then he signed it and sold it, and we bought it again and again. He wasn't an outsider critiquing the system, he was in the system, reflecting it back with brutal honesty. And the most remarkable thing is that in revealing all of that, he made some of the most valuable art in the 20th century. Andy Warhol wasn't just making art, he was commenting on society, on us. He criticized capitalism while profiting from it. And isn't that capitalism in its purest form? Today, even the people who critique the system wear $200 sneakers and carry tote bags with socialist slogans. And that is the Warhol loop. You can call it a scam, but we're still buying. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe to my channel in order to support me and see more content like this. And let me know in the comments what you think about Andy Warhol, what you think about his art, and other topics that you would like to see me discuss on this channel.